Hiya, how are you? I came here a couple of days ago and I noticed upstairs on level 5 outside the car park there, you've got a sign saying no photography or videoing. I came down and asked the lady here about the policy and she said to speak to the management. So where do I go?
The management team itself isn't in on the weekends.
Okay.
We have a junior manager who is at the moment he is on his break. Are you hanging around the mall at all, or is this not?
I'll be around for like half an hour or so, but yeah, I was just curious, like how does the policy of the mall, because she said to me it was a private property, and I said, yeah, but it's also a public place. Whether or not it's private or a public property, it's open to the public, so therefore it's a public place and no expectation of privacy as such. And I saw a lot of people doing like selfie shots and stuff. Yeah, so I'm thinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The purpose I think behind it is that they don't want people taking photos of other people. So like photos.
But where would those other people derive an expectation of privacy from? Because they're in a public place. I mean, if people don't want to be filmed, go and hide somewhere, and I'm sure you've got hundreds of cameras around this place filming their every move, so where would they derive their expectation of privacy from? Do you get what I mean there?
No, yeah, I do get what you mean.
She mentioned copyright and shop fronts and all that sort of thing, but if I'm just a hobbyist walking around taking photos of cool things I like in a public place, how does the mall restrict that? I mean, she mentioned you could get trespassed and that sort of thing, but you'd need a lawful purpose for that to happen. So,
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. I don't know if you go on YouTube a lot or watch a lot of these First Amendment auditors where they literally just walk around on public streets filming police stations and stuff like that to see if they uphold what they call the First Amendment over there. But over here it's the Bill of Rights, Section 14. You have the right to, rights and freedoms to seek, receive and impart information and opinions of any kind in any form, which means you can record.
Yeah.
And I actually go to a lot of court buildings and I audit the staff there, so I'm a right good all my free time, and I've studied law for 6 years. So I don't quite get it, and I've had other places where I've gone to like public swimming pools, for instance, and I've been filming the kids with a GoPro going down the hydro slide, and I've had the security come and tell me off for it. And I've had to get the council to change their policy because it was unlawful. They were trying to stop you from what you have the right to do. So,
So, as my manager, he went on his break about 10 minutes ago. He'll probably be back in about 20 minutes.
That sounds good.
If that's alright.
Sure, I'll pop down just for a quick
man sitting here.
Yep.
Basically, that's who you talk to.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I can't.
No, that's alright. I'm glad you get my point though, because I mean, I've got all the camera gear and stuff to go around, and it's not like I've been accused of peeping and peering standing outside filming the police station, and I ended up getting the entire police station re-educated, and I went back and checked and they left me alone the second time round, so something works. But anyway, okay, so just about quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. Thank you very much. So what was your name? Megan. Thank you. I was curious, I was here 2 days ago and I spoke to a lovely blonde lady that was here at the counter at that time. I went upstairs and I noticed you've got no videoing or photography signs upstairs on the outside of the building there. And I came down and asked her how come. But, and she was trying to tell me it was a private property. But my dispute was that it's actually a public place.
Yes,
so,
yeah. Private property.
Yeah.
But the reason why there is no photograph or video is that there's 2 reasons.
Yep.
One is the privacy of the people in here.
But where would they derive privacy from? Because you're recording them constantly. We're in a public place
and...
and...
available to the police.
Pardon me?
It's only available to the police.
Oh, well, who has access to it is completely up to you. It's your recording.
Yeah.
But the average Joe blog has the right to record in a public place without any prohibition. It's your Bill of Rights.
Yeah, no. Yes.
So...
People come in and take photographs for several reasons. One...
So how do people get on with selfies?
Sorry?
How do people get on? Because I saw them doing selfies and stuff.
It's hard to completely stop it. But people go around taking the photographs, shots of the mall and so forth. We allow it only for promotional photographs.
So commercial purposes, yeah.
And they have to blur faces.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's understandable because you'd need the consent of whoever it is you're photographing for that commercial purpose. But for a
We're assuming that people are taking photographs of the kids on the cruiser or something like that.
Sure.
There's not too much periphery coming out.
well, that falls under peeping and peering, that one.
Well, that's right. I mean, we don't want anybody stepping around here taking photographs.
No, fair enough.
With his girlfriend and his wife.
Absolutely.
So there's that aspect of it. The other side of it is we don't want people taking photographs of stuff in shops because they can use that information for shopping.
But again, wouldn't that fall into the point that the people in the shops are dealing with public, therefore they're in the public sector and
They're in the public
there's
sector,
no
but
privacy
they
in
don't want
public?
people Sizing place on the roof. All the malls have had over the past few months
Yeah.
break-ins overnight.
Oh, security purposes, I understand
They
that.
come in, they've already got the shop sussed out. They know exactly where to go to get what they want.
No, that's not good.
Disappear in very short order.
Sure.
So photographing evidence before them, yes, we go.
Oh, sure. Casing the joint is basically what you're saying.
That's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So we just sort of say no photography, video.
Doesn't that breach people's
No.
rights?
Because they have a choice to come here or not to come.
Yeah.
Come here knowing that that is the conditions.
Sure.
And anybody coming into the mall says, I'm feeling safe in here because nobody's going to be taking photographs of me.
For the conditions to be lawful, wouldn't they have to be backed by some sort of legislation?
No.
So policy overrides law?
You can stop people taking photographs in your own house.
Well, of course, I'm on my private property. Yeah, but I'm not allowing access to the public. Am I?
To the public only when they behave themselves.
Well, the ideal of a public place.
We say that we don't want animals and pets in here unless they're guided.
Sure.
We don't want people.
Well, there's law and legislation around that, because legislation is just to prohibit what you can already do.
Yeah,
It's a lawful
on
prohibition.
your own property, you can say that I don't want. We could sort of say nobody come into the mall. Sure. Everybody's trespassing. We do trespass here.
Sure.
We say you can't come in.
Of course.
We have the right to. And we also have the right to say if you come onto our property, these are our conditions of coming.
I understand that one.
One of our conditions is no photographs.
Sorry,
Oh, can I just be really quick?
Go
Do you
for
have a hemming shop? You know, like a...
Yes, we do. We go along here,
Yeah.
turn to your left,
Yeah.
and about halfway along on the right-hand side is Look Smart,
Oh, okay.
and they do all that.
Yeah, no, I find it very interesting because, I mean, I've done a lot of recording in public places, you know, wherever I am, be it a court building, be it a mall, anywhere. And I often see these prohibitions on public recording. I've even had to have councils and police stations re-educated because it is actually breaching your rights. And a public place, be it a private or public property, a public place is defined anywhere that's open to the public, be it for fee or free. Summary Offences Act 1981 Section 2.
Yeah, but open to the public, but it's still going to be subject to conditions.
Oh, absolutely. But if those conditions aren't backed by some sort of legislation enactment, then it's only a suggestion. It can't be lawfully enforced.
Probably not lawfully enforced, but you can ask people to leave.
Sure, and that's the fallback that everybody goes, well, if you don't like it, get out, trespass. You know, but I've even had cases
You
where...
wouldn't necessarily trespass them, so if you don't like our conditions of doing here,
Sure.
you don't have to come.
So how does one go about getting permission if it's not for commercial purposes?
Maybe.
Well, if you're just for gathering matters of public interest for a public, say on YouTube or something like that, how would you get permission? Because it's not for commercial purposes. You're not making money off of YouTube by doing it.
You can be.
Oh, you can be, but do you know how hard it is to monetize a YouTube channel these days?
You could ask the owners for permission to do it. And their condition would almost certainly be the weather patterns.
Of course.
And
Good.
beyond that, they would be quite happy.
It's really interesting.
Because the people that own these sites,
Oh yes,
they
the
have
ooh.
somebody come in, they usually come in after hours or just on closing time.
Sure,
They have permission to come in and photograph the sites.
sure. Oh, are they?
But they,
Why?
for their own
Advertisement or whatever. Yeah, sure.
But they've got to do everything.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Well, I've had some success having police stations re-educated and councils. Because I was even at the swimming pool once, and the lifeguards come and told me off for taking a photo of my kids coming down the GoPro on my head, and I ended up looking at their policy, and they had to change their policy because it was unlawful. They were prohibiting people in a public place from exercising their rights. Yeah, that's the difference between council, because they're a government agency and they're funded by the public. Yeah, well, bylaws. It depends on definitions of laws. I've studied law for about 6 years now. I find it really interesting. But yeah, I like to challenge and at least test people's education on
See
it.
the challenge there, but the argument is that everybody has a right to be here anonymous as they want.
As long as they act lawfully.
As long
Yep,
as they act lawfully.
sure.
And therefore,
And taking a photograph is lawful.
everybody's comfort zone. Saying you can't just go around taking photographs.
Oh, I can get it if people find it offensive, if someone's sticking a camera in your face and that sort of thing. But if you're just standing back taking a pan shot of an area, I don't see the harm in that, especially if it's not being used for commercial purposes.
It's not being used for commercial purposes, but again, we don't know whether you're going to use it for commercial purposes or
Fair enough.
purposes or any other purpose. So,
But if they do that, then they get done for it. Yeah, a blanket prohibition.
if
Yeah.
you come along and say, I want to do it because, then they will consider saying yes.
Yeah.
But if you came
Well,
along,
what if you just said, well, just because I want to exercise my rights to do it?
they'd probably tell you to take a running jump and go by the coming back.
Really?
Because I should imagine so.
Cool. Well, I mean, I brought some law along because the lady was quite confused about what it was. And like I was saying, I'll skip the Bill of Rights because most people should know that, but like, that's what I was saying about a public place. Where are we here? No, this one. Public place is there. Anywhere the material time is open to the public. And if you have opening hours, that would imply it's open to the public and therefore people can do it. And like pages off the New Zealand Police website saying it's perfectly okay to do it. The only place in public where you can't do it is where people have an expectation of privacy, like a changing room or a toilet. That's,
Open to the public, people have an expectation that they can go there during opening hours, whatever the case may be. But it's strict right to property. And people have the expectation to go there safely, anonymously if they want to be.
Yeah, well, the camera's never killed anyone last I checked. It's not a safety issue. And the eyes can't trespass, can they? Pardon?
The camera may not, but the photograph could go and trespass.
Yeah, I mean, there's one occasion I remember in case law where a man was prosecuted for standing behind a 4x4 at a beach using a zoom-in lens, catching young girls in their bikinis, and fair enough, that to me is sort of not on the up and up. But of course, I mean, that's, to me that's an ethical and a moral thing before law.
No, but if you want to, then ask.
Cool.
What will be the thing?
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I get that. It's all right. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for answering my questions. I appreciate it. Have a good day, eh? Thanks, Peter.
Oh, womble to your partners, young wombles were told. If you minuet or allegretto, you will live to be old.